Hey, what's up, YouTubers? Welcome back to the Smitty Sebastian Kirk Show. I am Smitty Sebastian Kirk.
And I'm Nisha C.
Before we get started, we're going to ask you to like, share, and subscribe this channel to all your people.
And also hit the notification bell so you will get notified every single time that we upload a new video.
Ding.
Okay.
Okay. But seriously, we have a serious discussion we're going to do. Do Black Lives really matter? The things that's going on right now, and I know everybody been hearing the different things that's going on with African Americans, and we're going to touch bases on the Derek Chauvin verdict. And Misha's going to go briefly to update people who may not know, but I'm sure everybody do. But go ahead, update them.
Exactly. So I just want to give you some backstory. As Smitty Sebastian Kirk said, we know you all are aware of this. However, we want to make sure that we just let you get a little backstory behind it. So Derek Chauvin was one of the 4 police officers of the Minneapolis Police Department involved in the arrest of George Floyd on May 25th, 2020, on suspicion of using a counterfeit $20 bill at a market. While Floyd was handcuffed and lying face down in the street, Chauvin knelt on Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. Now, Chauvin was arrested on May 29, 2020, and initially he was charged with third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter, making him the first white American police officer in Minnesota to be charged in the death of an African-American civilian. And on June 3rd, those charges were amended to include second-degree murder, specifically unintentional second-degree murder while attempting to commit felony assault. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that information first.
But you know what I think is kind of like messed up with that, like you said, when you said the first. There's so many, there's so many African American males, females too, that has been killed by police, and he's the first that ever had these charges. That's crazy.
You know, it is, and the thing is, we are celebrating that this is a milestone. However, we're still very saddened because
someone had to die.
Yeah, right. We had to see it over and over again. And as I watched the trial, and I watched as much as I could, we saw over and over again that the video that was played, and how we saw Chauvin just with no expression on his face,
no remorse,
knee on his neck,
didn't care.
and it was just sad, very sad. So we want to just make sure that we update everyone on exactly what has happened, to know that hopefully in the future that those that are doing these types of things, police officers that we supposedly are supposed to trust, that can be brought on charges when they are doing things wrong.
They need to be held accountable for their actions. Like I said about everything, regardless you're in law enforcement, civilian, you need to be held accountable for that. Now, as far as the verdict, justice was served this time only. Other cases like Tiana Taylor, stuff was thrown out the window and everything. I said Tiana Taylor.
Lord.
I can't believe I said Tiana Taylor. I meant to say Breonna Taylor. Oh my God, look.
She didn't do shit.
Only because I just saw her video. That's why I said Tiana Taylor. But I meant Breonna Taylor. Okay. And I'm not taking nothing away from her.
No.
But I was making a comparison how those cops busted in there and the one cop got in trouble because his bullet went to somebody else's house. And none of the other people were charged. Right. That's what was upsetting me because no justice was served there.
Exactly. And you know what? I actually wanted to mention that when the trial went on and there were so many pieces of evidence that was presented, Chauvin's attorneys tried to file a motion to dismiss the case initially, claiming that Floyd was most likely died as a result of drug use and pre-existing medical conditions.
Yes.
However, there was a doctor who said that he died from asphyxiation. Thank you. That word is very difficult for me. Meaning that he had no air. He could not breathe.
Choked. Yeah.
So it just, I just am not understanding. I guess for me, just what's right and what's wrong, and how these police officers are supposed to be upheld to a higher standard, and our lives, black lives, brown lives, just seem to not matter at all because it happens constantly. So with that, we wanted to just recap and say that at least some justice was served. However, we still have sad news and sad information because we wanted to just give you more, details on some things that happened since the trial.
When the verdict was set, that 16-year-old girl, Ma'Khia Bryant, from Columbus, Ohio, was killed by a police officer. Now, I keep hearing that she called the police because she has an incident that's going on. I guess some girls was coming to jump her or whatever. So she came outside fighting, and she did have a knife. So when the officers came on board and they witnessed that, the girl was going after the other girl. So the officer just started loading his clip into her. And, for whatever reason, I don't know what the excuse they're going to use. I think they're going to say that she was a threat because she had a knife. Right. So it was a deadly weapon. So they had to stop her. So I don't know. I mean,
well, it's just a very sad thing. Anytime we see a black person being killed by a police officer, I guess my thing is, I understand she did have a weapon. She was going after someone else, but she felt threatened. The police officer was not threatened. And I just don't understand why there's always an overkill. Why shoot her 4 times? That's what I don't get. And I'm not sure what their training is. And I keep saying, and other people that I know, if there needs to be more training.
Right.
There needs to be a standard or to be something that's set in place of exactly what each police officer does. Because it always seems to be, it's just either overkill
when it comes to
way
us.
too much. Exactly. Because
there's the incidents. I saw a video of a white guy wrestling with the police. Got his gun, pointing at them. The other officer was there, and they still kept wrestling with him. Nobody shot him or did anything. Now, if that was reversed, that was a black guy, they would have took him down immediately.
He would.
So that's why we got the Black Lives Matter. That's why we have all the people protesting. That's why right now that President Biden is doing the reform on the police force, because we got and I heard that what they're doing right now is they really want to do deep investigation before you become a police officer, because before it was just an aptitude test, because I've taken it. You know what I'm saying? Once you pass it, then you have to go through training. Of course. Once you go through all that, then you're a cop. It doesn't say that you're a racist. It doesn't say that you have issues with this culture or you have issues with this gender. Nothing. So now they're trying to get into that because the FBI, when you become an FBI, they ask relatives. They go to your neighbors. Exactly. They do a thorough investigation. They don't do that with the police.
I took the police officer's test. Remember I told you?
No.
Yeah, I took it initially because I was trying to be a police officer in Columbus years ago, and I went and I actually passed. Well, I
Columbus,
took the test, Ohio. So
I think you did tell me that.
Yeah, so I have so much. If you all keep listening, because you'll hear a whole lot. Me, I know. So I decided that one day, you know what, police officer would have been good for me. I was very young, a lot younger. And so I saw that there was a position in Columbus for a police officer. Took the test. Then they called me to go to, it was like a training session just to listen to people. Then I had an interview face to face with two different people. Remember?
Yeah, because I went through that.
But just to go back, I want to say, no, that test did not. It was not thorough enough to me, or even as you said, it's an aptitude test, but it doesn't have enough on there to determine if somebody really has that
hatred towards another.
Yes,
anything.
Exactly.
Right. You're right.
So I understand completely. But I do want to just go forward with what we were talking about with Ma'Khia Bryant. We have a couple other people, unfortunately.
Daunte Wright, right after that, got killed, and basically he was got pulled over because his tags was expired, and something about some little, the little air freshener trees in his window. And I know you're not really supposed to have that because it says it in the driver manual, but
everyone has it.
So he got pulled over for that, but when they got him out of the car, and then the other guy was trying to handcuff him, he jumped back in the car, and then that's when that woman, the police officer, said she went to go tase him, but grabbed the wrong thing and shot him and killed him. But
what was he, 20?
He was 20
years old. And the thing too is that, to me, you should know a taser from a gun. Because you can't bring someone back once you say I made a mistake. Now I know that she has been, was she dismissed or was
she resigned. She resigned. She's in jail, but she resigned.
So that's, these are just two African Americans. I'm sure, there's another as we're going to speak of, which is...
Well, wait a minute. Before you go there, can I say this?
Yes.
And I will say this. I understand that when it comes to the law, it's different from people of color. It's totally different. So, unfortunately, like a lot of African American families, they have a talk with their males. Right. They have a talk with the males saying that, hey, if you get pulled over by the cops, put your hands on the wheels. Yes, sir. No, sir. This and that. Don't. Exactly. That's terrible that we have to do that. But knowing this, and I'm not dismissing anything, I'm just asking the question. When you know that the cops are ready to cock, aim, and fire, why don't do any sudden things? And I'm not saying, because this boy Daunte Wright should not be dead, not over because it's tags. No. Anything, they could have just let him go because one, they'll know where he's gonna. They know where he lives. They ran and stuff. Right. But why run?
Well, we've talked about that.
I know with the Antoine Rose.
It's not that we're saying.
That we're not dismissing any of that. But
saying that in this day and age, we know that we cannot. We don't know what's going to happen. This is the thing.
Right.
We don't know. Unfortunately, there are some bad cops out there, and there are people
super bad
who are those that either are afraid, maybe, that they're pulling the trigger suddenly. They don't ask questions.
They want any excuse.
So we just want everyone to make sure that they just, you just have to. We have to teach our young or even just any black person who.
But that's terrible that we have to do that.
It is.
I don't know what the hell.
So we're to go on to.
That's terrible, but we're going to go to the Andrew Brown.
Good.
Junior.
Yes.
What happened? Because you had it pulled up.
Well, yes.
Andrew Brown Jr. is from North Carolina.
Yes.
And basically, he got pulled over because I guess they was behind and they ran his tags. He had a warrant for, I don't know, possession of a weapon or drugs or whatever, but it was nothing major. But the crazy part, I forgot how many shots they loaded into his car. But when they released the body cam, it was only 20 seconds.
To the family.
To the family. The judge ruled that they wasn't going to do it. So, but they have to release all the footage from all the officers because they want to find out what happened. Right. Why did you? What went on to the point to start shooting in his car? To my understanding, what I saw, what I heard, when they just clipped, they just showed him backing up, and then they just start shooting him. He went around the officers, they started shooting, and they kept shooting, and one hit him in the back of the head and killed him. And I'm like, why are you doing all this? I'm like, we just went through a trial with George Floyd. You see what happened. It's like the cops has no remorse. Like it won't affect us. And I just think it's terrible. But it must be something major because they did not release all the footage. So when all that footage come out, people's going to go down.
I really hope that it's the real footage and nothing's been altered.
Well, they'll have an analyst. They'll have like a specialist, a special person who does all the video stuff, and they will tell if it's been altered.
And people
Yeah,
are
they'll-
protesting
Oh,
because
yeah.
of this. Of course, there's still protests going
God,
on.
we keep protesting, which I think is great. I think we keep on protesting, but it's just like it's just sad in my heart. Like, when do it stop?
It is. It's very sad.
I don't know.
And it just keeps happening over and over. So,
Only thing I'm going to say that we have to just protect us. We have to be safe. We have to. It's like even if you get pulled over and you got your hands on the steering wheel, and you're doing everything you were taught to do, and you're saying this. It doesn't matter, because if they feel like just shooting you, they'll make up some excuse and do it anyway. So what do you do? How do we go through? What's the next step from this? How do we do this? I don't know.
well, they don't know right now.
I don't know.
And it's unfortunate.
It makes me nervous because I'm a black male. I'm not young, but I'm a black male. You know, and some people might look at me as a threat, especially with my dark skin. You know, and they can pull me over, and I'm like, "What's the problem?" Me asking that might be like too much for them, and they're like, "Blah blah blah blah." Look about that guy who was he was in the military. I think he was lieutenant.
Yes, I did.
And he
see
had
that.
his hands up, and they still pepper sprayed him.
Yep, they sure did. They sure did. I
Why?
did see that. And there was actually, I mean, from what we could see, there was no reason to do that.
No reason.
He was cooperating.
Yes, he was.
I just.
And they needed. Well, the officer I heard, I think he got fired. That one, or he's on the administration leave. They always say that, but I think he got fired. The officer who's actually sprayed the pepper spray, but there was no need for that because he wasn't resisting anything. So I don't know. So
Well,
we just want to give you just a heads up. Like, I'm just going to be very honest. Just oh God, just please just comply with the police if you encounter them. If you don't have to call the police for certain things that may happen, don't call, because you don't know what you're going to get. It's like a box of Cracker Jacks. You don't know what surprise you're going to get when that cop comes rolling up for the scene, because it could be something real minor that you'll call, like, "Oh, my cousin's gotten up, he did this, I called," just for them to calm down. Then your cousin's dead over absolutely nothing. So
and
just
the other part too is what's happening now is everyone's recording, because you have to try to make yourself feel safe and know that this recording is going to last possibly longer than you, and it's
thank God for people has cameras and videos and stuff now, and people are recording, but they also recorded Rodney King. You see, they got off.
That was recorded. You're
but
right.
things are changing now, so keep marching, keep strong, keep protesting. We're going to do this. So we just want to just bring that to awareness to people, and we're just going to wrap this up. Again, my name is Smitty Sebastian Kirk, always in the works.
And I'm Misha C, all about me.
And for that, we just say, just protect yourself and just watch.
Be safe.
And be safe. Thank you.